how can you be uh, really uh, quite calm and joyful in the presence of so much turmoil going around you, right? So I'm sure many of you are really concerned about it. So this is like a contemplative journey with the ancient wisdom invitation to rest in the unchanging self, which is our inner core. So witnessing the waves of the life without losing our inner steadiness. Ancient wisdom meets modern resilience. That which we need to really go through, navigate the tough times that we may be having in our mind, in our conclusions, in our perception of what's going on. So, how can you be the ocean, not the fearful wave? See, ancient wisdom usually invites us to rest in the unchanging self, which is our inner witness consciousness, and witness situations come and go without losing inner steadiness. Life, the vast ocean, beneath beneath the surface of the vast ocean, there's a lot of turbulence. Our true nature also remains undisturbed by the waves of circumstance. What gets disturbed is our thought, our mind, our emotions, but not the underlying self, which is the witness consciousness. Okay, once you have the permanence of this landed on you, you understand it, and you will be leading through the sickness or through the turmoils of life, relationship breaking down, economically getting hurt. So many things will not be overwhelming you, rather than you will be having the resilience, have the strength to deal with the situation as it is. Most of the time we expect certain things to be certain way. We're afraid that our perception of what it should be will be disturbed, or we won't have what we think is important for us, right? So that is what we want to understand. Okay, so uh, see, if you can shift your identity from body, mind, or thought to uh, without suppressing your feelings or without denying challenges, but then looking at them in a dispassionate way, in an equanimous way, you kind of you really be in the inner self, and then observing the thoughts, observing the turmoil. Like you are the sky, and all the clouds, all the storms are happening within you, but then you are observant of them. Okay, so it's about establishing a presence is already there, just recognizing that that presence can hold whatever arises with a spacious awareness. Awareness is spacious, enormous, right? Responding, not reacting. So it responds with that wisdom rather than reactive fear. Okay. So that is what we're going to look at. Okay. So, what is our identity? What do you think we are? Okay. The ancient wisdom tells about the real inner self, that sense of being, sense of me, like, not the egoic self, but the sense of me. So that is an unchanging awareness, and that exists beyond the fluctuations of your thought and emotions, a constant presence, always witnessing all experience, right? And the waves are like body, mind, emotion, and social roles. They shift continuously, like waves on the surface, right? But inner sovereignty, recognizing that unchanging awareness, restores our natural authority over our inner landscape. And that is the vastness. The self remains still, vast and sovereign, untouched by the movements it witnesses. They change, right? Thoughts change from morning till evening, body changes from one age to other age, and everything changes around us, but not our sense of I am. Not the so-called role, so-called identification, the ego, not that, okay? But the sense of intuitive awareness of ourselves. That doesn't change. That is not something we need to create to achieve it. Or it is our fundamental nature is always there, always present beneath that surface. And begin the actually noise of the daily life becomes the surface and beneath that. So if you can learn how to rest in that awareness, we discover a wellspring of peace that circumstances cannot touch. So you want to understand what is the real identity, what is not. So if you understand what is not, in ancient wisdom, they always talk about what is not yourself and what is yourself. Once you understand what is not yourself, all the temporary things, the physical body, the mental activity, emotional states, and social rules, all these things are temporary. In the sense they change, right? You can take and do somewhere, but then it changes. Physical body, for example, body changes constantly. Cells regenerate and energy fluctuates, right? We see that appearance evolves. We change the appearance like anything, right? We don't do it, but your physical body changes. So you are the one who is witnessing these changes, not the changing form itself. The form of body changes, but then you are aware of it. That is the witness. Take mental activity. Thoughts change from morning till evening. They arise and dissolve like clouds passing through the sky, right? And the awareness that observes your thinking is more fundamental than any particular thought pattern. You cannot change yourself by deep thinking. You will end up in the cyclical thinking and then you cannot resolve to get rid of it. No, it will go on. You have to stand apart from it and witness it. Emotional states also, okay? Feelings, they come and go. Joy, sadness, fear, contentment. These are temporary visitors. We know that. They come and go. They don't last forever. They're not your permanent identity. They happen within you. You are the space in which all these emotions are happening, arising, coming and going. Like that, social also. You could be a parent, you could be a professional, you could be a partner, you could be a friend. These are all positions you inhabit, not who you essentially are. The self, the inner sense of being, remains unchanging, regardless of the roles you play. Okay? I'm not talking about the self that is our egoic nature. No, I'm not talking about beyond that, biggest. That is a part of our universal consciousness as conscious being, as Atman, as soul, whatever you call it. Okay? That is where it happens. Okay? Now, we all know the two arrow theory of Buddha. The first arrow is the something that is happening around us that comes to us. Bad news hurts once. Okay, it comes and hurts once. This is the inevitable pain of being a human. Okay, loss, dis- disappointments, physical discomfort. They all happen, right? The first row is the life's natural challenges, which we cannot always avoid. They happen. But like I'm talking about all this bad news, everything is happening, is like kind of can hurt us economically, can hurt us politically, can hurt us as one particular section of person, all that. So then what? Okay. But it is the second arrow, our mental replay, egoic ownership, and emotional panic. They wound us again and again and again. And the second arrow is like we shoot ourselves with one additional arrow through rumination, catastrophizing, and self blame. This is the thing that cyclical thinking goes on, and also actually it forms its own default network, which is a neuroplasticity and which takes on its own life and then stays on with your memories, with how you think about one particular thing, worrying all the time. That cyclical thinking is where you can make a change. So pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. What does it mean is things happen, but how you allow them to graduate into suffering is up to you. Okay? So this is an ancient Buddhist teaching. First arrow and second arrow. It reveals how most of our anguish comes not from the events themselves, but from our mental relationship with them. Examine your mental relationship with the things that are happening. Are you expecting things to be certain way and they are not? That's why you are having all this uh, movement of worry and all that. Look at that. Okay. So if you have that wisdom, that prevents the second strike, because things happen, things change, things come, then take them as it is rather than what they should be according to your understanding, your conclusions, and all. The more you let go, the more you work with what is, the more successful you become, the more easier to go out. Right? So by cultivating awareness of our reactions, the reactive patterns, we learn to feel the first arrow. We learn to feel the first arrow without compounding it with unnecessary mental chattering, mental conclusions, and all that. That's the mental suffering. Okay, you cannot think out of yourself on this. You just want to be away from the thinking, observe the thinking. Okay. Something happened to my connections. Okay. So, see, when you have mental replay of something that happened, we relive painful moments, reinforce them, right? Repeatedly in our mind. And each replay reinforcing the neural pathways of suffering. The event is over, whatever caused the problem, but we keep it alive through constant mental review. That we do automatically sometimes. And also egoic ownership. This always happens to me, we say. "Oh, I am the kind of person who will have these things happen." So all this, we make temporary circumstances into permanent identity, transforming a passing wave into our entire ocean. And then there is this emotional panic too. We catastrophize, imagining worst case sensation and spinning out into anxiety. Yeah, we spin out into anxiety, right? About futures, that may never arrive. But we think about that with fear of the um, fear, actually, that amplifies the original discomfort exponentially. So, practice point here is when you notice yourself shooting the secure arrow, pause, simply name the pattern. This is mental replay. This is catastrophizing. Awareness itself begins to interrupt this cycle. That's where you distance yourself from the thoughts because they are happening to you. You are not the thought. So Once you are aware, once you are resting in that awareness ocean, ocean self, you can notice the wave or the thought coming, and then you will find the witness, and then you rest in that vastness and respond from the depth. Okay? So, see, this is the science of inner steadiness. What happens is in modern neuroscience studies, they confirm what contemplative traditions of the ancients have taught for millions of years. Okay? We can turn our minds to rest in witnessing awareness, then react to identification and getting into the loop of cyclical loop of thinking. So, research on meditation and mindfulness, they are practices, right? So many members, and they did research on them. They show measurable changes in brain's region associated with emotional regulation, self-awareness, and stress response. See, the default mode network responsible for rumination, self-referential thinking shows decreased activity with consistent practice. See, that is what we found. So they demonstrated that individuals who cultivate witnessing awareness, they show greater resilience. Okay? Witnessing awareness. They have decreased anxiety and depression also. So they have improved emotional regulation basically and enhanced overall well-being. Okay, they are not bothered by own thinking, acting against them. So the ancient metaphor of ocean and wave has neurobiological correlations. You understand? So that's why it will be the ocean, not the identifying with each individual. Okay. When people did my meditation practice, 47% of them they have reduced their rumination, and then 32% of them improved stress response, and 65% really enhanced their well-being. Okay, so living from the ocean itself, uh, uh, you are the ocean self, and then you are aware in the morning, and you can use the breath as an anchor, and you can have an evening reflection where you can review all your reactions and nullify them. Whenever each day, just awake and then be in that awareness movement without any thinking. Be that witness presence. Cultivate that. Try to cultivate that in the morning routine, which I do every day. I tell them you got to cultivate to be present here and carry that presence into the not the thinking mind, but the observing witness consciousness. And then deep breathing can bring you to that attention. So do the deep breathing 1 minute every hour during the working day. And in the evening, I call what's called review of reactions, review whatever happened during the day, and look at from the perspective of the witness consciousness. So notice when you are caught in waves and you rested in depth. Both things, okay? Then compassion, not judgment, guide this practice. Then you will be compassionate to yourself if you are caught up in negative thinking, blaming, judging, all that. But you also cultivate those times when you are cool and calm, equanimous to whatever happening with you. Okay? So the invitation continues. What is the invitation here? Ancient wisdom is uh, it's not a one-time insight, right? But ongoing invitation is each moment. Actually, each moment offers you a fresh opportunity to recognize yourself as the ocean rather than the wave, to witness rather than drowned. Don't be drowned in the network of thought, to rest in the vastness. Many people, they rest in that vastness, right? Rather than contact in fear. They don't contract at all. So this wisdom asks nothing of you except what you already use. Already, the ocean self isn't something you must create to deserve it. It is your fundamental nature, but it is your fundamental nature. Recognize that. And then it is always there, patiently waiting underneath every wave of thought, every wave of emotion. You just have to remember and return to it. It is there already. Be the ocean, not the fear wave. Be the self, not the suffering story. Be the awareness, not the arising thought. You think everything is caused, by thought, so I can change the thought and do it. No, thought will propel itself, will form network, will do all the neuroplasticity and everything. You got to be away from the thought, distance and observe it and dissolve it and be the real identity you are. You are that awareness. Fundamental difference between the modern cultures and the ancient cultures is modern cultures think everything is through the thought, and ancient cultures really awareness. So fundamental difference. Why psychology, psychiatry is not making a dent in the reduction of mental illnesses is this reason. Okay. Once you understand thought is not going to help me, then you be aware. You cultivate that awareness. You be in that. And then you will see the clouds of thoughts coming and going, so many turmoils coming and going. Okay. So I just want to bring that to you, and hopefully I made it easy for you to understand. If not, you can come up and ask me questions if you have any. Um, so this is a very big topic. How it is that I'm aware of all the bad news, everything that's going on, but still I don't have the disturbance of that in my mind, because I'm going to accept everything as it is coming, and I'm going to work on that as I can do from my inner self, right? So then I'm not wasting my energy in the perpetual thinking, fear, or emotions. Rather, I'm spending all that energy on the problem at hand, on what I see that I could do, and then I will do that. So that is the inner resilient self that actually gives you a lot of energy. You want support from your colleagues, support from your parents, support from your family, support from friends, or support even on the social media site like this. Is that really needed, or do you have the enormous, strong ocean with you, and you can be that rather than the identifying with the waves that are always coming and going? Okay. Is that clear to you guys? If anybody has any doubts, you are free to come up and ask me any question. Peter, you want to come up? Cecilia, anybody? I know we get very few people to listen, but then this is like a transformational, revolutionary, if you can, but it is there for millennia. It's not something I invented or anybody invented. I'm only fortunate that I realized that and stay in that, right? But you think you're too clever or too thoughtful, too much thinking there, so you know everything. But then you don't have an answer about why you are not silent, why you are not joyful, why you are not having this resilience to handle life's events. This is the problem with the thinking. Thought is the essence and everything, and thought happening in awareness and identifying awareness as you and staying there. If you are asking how, who is asking? Again, your thoughts are asking. Feel it intuitively, your own inner being, and operate from that. That's the compass. Okay. And then I see the lack of wellness because of all this thinking continuously or getting overwhelmed by so many thoughts. our emotions, all this, I can see it very clearly because I want to be in that witness consciousness. Yours is also fundamental thing is that everybody is that, all the human beings. We are only blessed as human beings. We have the intelligence to turn towards it and stay there. See, one sentence I always tell about is one's attention has always to be poised on one's inner self. Ramana Maharshi, right? That really helped me not to be in the cyclical thinking, not to be in the default network, not even to make the default network. Okay, every human being has that intelligence to turn inward and really intuitively feel, not think, intuitively feel and recognize who we really are. Okay, in the morning routine, I conclude the practice by saying, who am I? I am the witness consciousness or conscious being or our energy or our life force, whatever that is, it is that inner core. Here we are saying, describing it as an ocean. And when I breathe out, I say, I'm not just this body and mind, but they are my tools. This is the meaning behind it. If you could understand it, unfortunately, only 9 people on Noom Vibe, and I know how many on the other channels, but it is a question of understanding that and then realizing ourselves. You don't need anybody really, but you have to do that work yourself. And once you really see that, then you don't need it. Your life will be non-causal joyful, unperturbed peace, and real joy and happiness. Okay, so everything is an inside job within us. We just have to see that and then grab onto that permanent self and let go all these temporary things. Your image about yourself, your ego, your personality, your role, your conclusions, all those things will lose their grip on you and you are kind of liberated from your own inner bred thinking mechanism. It's each individual's thing to experience that and to realize that. Not because somebody said, like me or somebody has said. No, you go and find it for yourself inside you, beyond your thought and emotion. Hopefully, you will see this and then act on that. And next time, some war news or some geopolitical news or some murder in Minneapolis, whatever that comes to your notice, you will see you are not reacting emotionally or mentally just like that. You take deep breath, consider what is that you can do. So only do that. You want to write to your Congress, you want to express your reservation, or you want to help somebody who is hurt like that. There are so many, plenty of choices, right? Okay, then. Hopefully you got what I'm talking about. And any questions, let me know with a DM. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to do my room on upcoming retreat. I'm going to describe to you why you should attend, what you will get, and how you will improve yourself from wherever you are to towards. You may not reach all of them right away. Suppose you are weak in the body, you learn all the good things about exercise and deep breathing and all that. Suppose you are not able to sleep, what is that you want to do? Suppose you are not able to stop your chattering mind, what is that you want to do? And suppose you want to really end up in that deep uh, sense of yourself, then what is that you have to do? So it depends upon where you are, how sincere you are to go back. All that. Okay? Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.